Hi friends, it's Terry Stewart, Independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, located in the US in Maryland. Welcome to this edition of the Vlog Hop, where we share our versions of a sketch. And this is the sketch that I am working with today. And I'll be using Hand Penned Petals along with the coordinating Hand Penned Floral DSP, these patterns. So here is my card. Like I've said, I've used the Hand Penned DSP and the Hand Penned Petals for the sentiment on the front, and on the inside, I've used the floral image from this, and anything is possible. So I see this as a graduation or congratulations on an accomplishment. So let me get started here. For this sketch, these are in inches. So this are my base materials, or my materials. I'm starting with a base of garden green that's cut 5.5 by 8.5 inches, and our centimeters are 4.9 by 21 centimeters, and we're going to fold this in half. Our inside piece is a piece of white cardstock 4 by 5.25 inches, or 10 by 14.4 centimeters. Then for the outside, I have used the garden green cardstock as a layer on each of these. So the biggest, starting with the bottom, is 3 by 2 inches by 3 inches, or 5 by 7.6 centimeters. That's the bottom. The middle one is this layer, which is 1.5 by 2.5 inches, or 3.7 by 6.4 centimeters. And then the smallest layer on the top is 1 inch by 2 inches, or 2.5 centimeters by 5 centimeters. Now each of these layers, I have cut some of the hand penned DSP. So for our top layer, that is just 1/8 of an inch smaller, and for our centimeters, it's 2.3 centimeters smaller on each side for a layer. And these are my DSP. This will be this one, and then the largest one is this. Now we are missing one layer, and I was going to cut that for you. Oh, and there's a scrap of white. So for the base of my card, for the background, I'm also using a piece of hand penned, and I was going to cut that. Bring in my trimmer. Put my sketch here, and this is the 4 by 5.25 inch layer. And here is my DSP, my hand penned DSP, and there's just such lovely patterns. There's florals, a variety of floral patterns mixed with more solid patterns. And the one I'm using today is this one that has the garden green and the misty moonlight on it. And I'm going to cut this piece at 4 inches just because that's more economical when using 12 by 12 DSP. And our background layer is 4 inches by 5.25. So this would be, for metric, 10 inches by 14.4 centimeters. And now that I've got that cut, I can put my measurement on that piece. So this is the pattern, is on one side and the reverse. So what I've done is used this pattern, this garden green with the white as my background, and then the reverse side of it is what I've layered on my smaller rectangles. So you can see from this sketch that it is in a portrait position, and I've rotated mine to a landscape and then offset each of the layers. So it's just a different take on this sketch. So the stamping I'll be doing, I'll be using Memento ink and Garden Green. And on the front, I'll be using the congratulations, and I'll be stamping this in Memento. And then anything is possible also in Memento, but on the inside of the card. And on that white piece on the inside, I'll be using this floral image. So with my Memento ink and my congratulations stamp, I'll ink this up. And because this is a photopolymer, I'm able to look right through my stamp, and I'm going to center it on this piece of white cardstock and towards the bottom. It's the congratulation piece. And now for the inside. This is a landscape card, so I'll be stamping in the landscape position. And my anything is possible stamp, and I'll center that right in the top part of this piece of cardstock. And that is all for the Memento ink. I'm going to bring in my floral image and use my Garden Green ink. And I'm just going to put a little corner of this. I'm just going to ink it up and place that in the corner of this bottom left corner. And that's all the stamping on this project. So for this little piece, I'm going to use my trimmer and to get a nice straight cutting edge on that. So I'll put it there, move my guide down and cut it. And there's my sentiment. I'm going to trim this. It's a little bit long on the left side, so I'm just going to trim that up a little bit. There we go. And now we can start assembling. Now I'm going to adhere my DSP to my cardstock layers. So I've married them up here, and now we can start adhering them. I'll take the smallest piece first, and this green, garden green part and go down, because we're using the opposite side to face up. So I'll adhere this with some liquid glue. And when I cut these, I made sure that the flowers, that the narrow side was this way, so the stems and leaves would be in the portrait position. And now for our middle layer. Again, I'm putting the adhesive, the liquid glue on the garden green side so we can have the opposite pattern face up. And see, I did try to get the stems and leaves going up. And then for the bottom layer, our largest piece, we'll do the same thing. And just center this piece. Now we can bring in our base, and I'm going to fold this in half, and I'll use my bone folder, crisp up that fold line, and bring in our background piece. So this side will go down, so our garden green pattern is located face up. I'll get some adhesive on here. And this is going to help us with the placement of our rectangles once we get this down. So I'm going to put about 1 inch or so, and then half that amount at the top. And then this layer will come like this, and then the smaller layer will be further down. So I want a similar amount at the top as in the bottom and off to the side. So I will just play with this until I get those proportions that I'm looking for. That looks about right. So now I'll take this and put a little bit of glue on this edge. And stick that down, and then do the same for this. A little bit of glue on this side. And stick this down. And I'm going to bring in my Open Weave Pale Papaya. So this color is included in the DSP, so I know that it's going to coordinate, because the DSP, it'll coordinate with the DSP. And I'm going to tie a knot. I'm going to wrap this around, and I'm going to tie a knot. So once I have my ribbon in place, I can bring this around and complete the knot. I'm going to slide this down a little bit, and I can pull these edges to get it in place. And now that I have my ribbon on, I'm going to adhere it using my liquid glue, and I will put some dimensionals on my sentiment. And so I'm trying to keep the same amount of space at the top as the bottom and on the left and right. And once I have that in a good position, I'll trim on my ribbon, my paper snips. And then I'll be using some dimensionals to pop up this congratulations sentiment. Take your pick tool and lift these dimensionals and put them down this little spatula end. And remove these covers. And this is going to go a little off that background focal piece. So, and now the final piece is to add our inside to the card. And there we go. And the ink that we use, the garden green, is the same color as our card base. Will pick up that. Thank you so much for joining me on this vlog. Remember to hop along. In the description below, you'll see a link to the next participant. Like and subscribe to my channel so I can bring you even more fun stamping projects. And until next time, remember, stamping is fun. Bye.